My therapist thought I was just emotionally detached. What he didn't know was that every single night at 2 a.m., I disappeared from my bedroom window and walked into the abandoned St. Jude's Asylum. For 3 years of high school, I was a ghost. I sat in the completely invisible. At home, my parents lived like strangers, suffocated by a heavy silence. We were 3 lonely planets orbiting a cold living room. But my real life started in that asylum, deep inside the flooded basement. I found a decaying room covered in handwritten dates on the walls, ending abruptly on the exact day I was born. Beside them lay a vintage silver lighter engraved with my mother's maiden name and a single word: forgive. It took me weeks of digging through archives to understand. My mother had been admitted there 19 years ago after a tragedy my father forced her to bury. The silence in my house wasn't a lack of love, it was guilt, and it had shaped me into a ghost. But secrets in a small town always bleed into the daylight. Marcus, a brutal athlete at school, discovered my nightly routine. One rainy night, he and his friends cornered me inside that very basement. Marcus stepped forward, his brass knuckles gleaming. He expected me to beg or run. Instead, I just stood there. I didn't flinch. The silence stretched. Marcus's smug grin slowly faded. Insecure people need your fear to feel powerful. But looking at me was like looking into an empty room. Frustrated, he threw a brutal left hook that caught me right on the jaw. The taste of copper filled my mouth, but I didn't fall. I just looked at my mother's name on the wall, then looked back at him, completely calm. In that exact moment, everything clicked. I wasn't actually built without fear. I had just locked myself away, because feeling nothing was safer than facing my reality. I hadn't been invisible. I was the one hiding. I took a slow step toward him, wiped the blood from my chin, and said, "Is that it?" Marcus froze. He raised his fists, but his posture changed. He was dealing with someone who genuinely did not care if he got hurt. Absolute lack of self-preservation unsettled him. He backed away slowly before they turned and fled into the dark. The next morning, I walked into school with a bruised jaw. When the teacher called my name, I didn't look down. I looked her dead in the eye and answered. The entire classroom went silent. Graduation is next week. Every time I walk past Marcus in the hallway, he looks away first. My therapist spent months trying to find the wall inside my head. He never realized I had already torn it down.